Hey guys, X2 here, and welcome back to probably my final Hell Let Loose Vietnam video until they maybe delay the game again, or when the game comes out and I fork over the money to buy the game. Or if it goes on Game Pass, I can just play it on Game Pass. But also, I want to quickly state, well, there's kind of two things I want to state. One, just because this game's in a playtest, it's not subject to criticism and complaints and people talking shit about the game or people glazing the game, and I hate to use that word because I'm not even that part of the generation. Also, I don't want to see this game fail. I'm not making these videos. I didn't make these 4, maybe 5 videos in total on Hell Let Loose Vietnam basically say I don't want this game to ever release. I'm not saying that. I know there's some people that think that, talk shit about the game. I'm talking shit about the game because there's obvious issues with the game, but I feel like I have to say the first part of just because it's a playtest doesn't mean it's not subject to criticism and bug reports, glitch reports, performance reports, etc., etc. And then also, I don't want this game to fail. I actually really want this game to succeed because this is the only Vietnam game out there currently on the fucking market. Not counting the AAA scene with Call of Duty and their horrendous portrayal of Black Ops Cold War, and then technically, if you want to count Black Ops 6. Also, you have Red Orchestra Rising Storm 2. Rising Storm 2 is a Vietnam game, but it's not at the caliber as what Hell Let Loose is. For the third time, and I'm going to say it at the end of the video too, I don't want this game to fail. I don't hate the devs. I want the game to succeed. I want the game to flourish. I want the game to perform better on lower and medium end rigs for PC. I want there to be a lot of content. I want there to be a lot of guns, vehicles, maps, etc. Because again, this is the only Vietnam fucking game at this caliber that is out on the market right now. Without further ado, we're going to jump into my entire impressions, and I'm sure I left some stuff out. For transparency, I wrote not a script but bullet points, so I'm just going to read off of that. This is what I experienced playing the game. So first, we're going to move right on to performance. Like I mentioned in my previous videos, from the first playtest, people got really triggered that I was complaining about the performance of the game, and I have a right to complain about the performance of the game, because if I'm trying to play a game and it's only running at 30 FPS, below that sometimes, it's kind of fucking hard to play the game and enjoy it. But for me, performance is still iffy on medium and low-end rigs. Now, I watch a creator called Big Fry and Operator Drewski, but Operator Drewski hasn't dropped a video on this most recent playtest, but Big Fry did, and he said on his rig he was getting between 90 and a high of 120 frames, and I think he said he was on max settings as well. For me, quickly, I don't know my motherboard, so that might be an issue here, but I have DDR5 16 gig RAM, I have an RTX 3060 12 gig, I have a 13th gen i5 processor. That's a 13400K at like 3.5 gigahertz or something, not gigahertz or megahertz, whatever the fuck it is. But yeah, I have a medium build PC. Yeah, there's some stuff I could upgrade on it, and I really want to. Also, the game's running on an SSD. By the way, the recommended settings for this game, recommended, and these are subject to change, an i5 12600K, AMD Ryzen 5 7600X, and for graphics cards is a GeForce RTX 3070 and an AMD Radeon RX 6700 XT. And that is at 1440p 60 frames. Here's the caveat. I was recording, and with OBS, open and recording my game, and my game was at low settings, and the only high setting was the textures. I also had DLSS turned on to ultra performance. With all of that being said, I got between 50 to 40 frames per second in heavy combat areas, and outside of that I was between 65 to 50. If I would stop recording with OBS and close the program, low settings, textures only being at high with DLSS on ultra performance, I was getting between high 60s and low 100s. In combat areas, this would drop between low 70s to high 80s with some frame spikes. I played the game once with everything max out with DLSS still on ultra performance, and I was getting between 30 to 40 frames, and that was just general. Like, I'd spawn in, walk around on max settings with DLSS on ultra performance, and I was getting 30 to 40 frames. I didn't personally experience any crashing when I was playing. I experienced some hitching and stuff like that, but I know some players, specifically the players who had AMD builds, and I got this information from Big Fry because I don't know anyone with AMD builds. And some console players have said that they've crashed too. I'm not sure if it's all AMD builds for PCs, but people couldn't even play the game. They couldn't launch it. Sometimes they could launch it and go to the server menu, and the second they click join on a server, the game would just crash. So devs, people with AMD builds, you gotta fix that, because if someone who's genuinely interested in this game because they played the first game and they love the first game and they want to play this game, they just can't because they chose to build their computer with an AMD and you decided to make the game not good for AMD users. I don't know. Moving on to graphical issues, I didn't have too many, mainly because I was playing on low, and I had to play on low to record my game and get the max amount of frames. Graphic glitches, I had some pop-ins. On console, there were some pop-ins. Probably already seen my console video, linked down in the description. There's a segment where when I ADS, the shadows pop in. Also kind of feels cartoonish. That's weird. So that was an issue. That was an issue with the first public playtest. There were some texture pop-ins, and then the shadows were popping in too. Also, the coloring of the game still hasn't been changed from the first public playtest, so it still looks washed and stuff. I touched on this in my first video, so I'm not gonna do it in here. Did experience some stutters, but not all of the time. There's also a strange shimmer or motion blur to the foliage in the game. I know for a fact that this is an actual UE5 issue and not just what everyone says when they play a UE5 game and goes, oh, it's just a UE5 problem. No, I know for a fact that this specific issue is a UE5 issue. Happens when I play Grey Zone Warfare, happens when I play Stalker 2. So sometimes when you look at the foliage, and I even showed this in the console gameplay impressions video, where you could see these weird black squares all over the foliage, and it was very blurry, and it was shimmering sometimes, like kind of like it was wet, but there was no weather effects in the game right now. We'll get to that in a bit. I have some nitpicks about the graphics as well, like the ground textures look horrible. It was like this in the first public beta test. Some of the vehicle models look straight up like upscaled PS2 models. Specifically the T-54, even when I tested the game on full graphic settings and I hopped into a game and looked at the T-54, it still looked like an upscaled PS2 model. And I have no clue because, and again, this is not a UE5 issue. If you go play Stalker 2, there's a bunch of T-64s and T-90s and some T-72s around the map, and you look at them, they look really fucking good. It looks like they 3D scanned an actual tank from the Ukraine front, 3D scan that bitch and put it in the game. That's how detailed the tank models in Stalker 2 look, and that game is running on the UE5 engine. But these don't actually matter to actually fixing the game because this isn't a major issue. This is just a B problem. On top of that, the muzzle smoke, when the brass is being ejected from when you're shooting the gun, the bolt goes to the rear, ejects the casing, whole type of debris, the smoke, the muzzle flashes, and the blood effects all look very, very bad. They look horrible. They look cartoony. But that's just me being annoying. So I'm going to move on to that, otherwise I'll just keep ranting. I did have some issues with object hitboxes and hit registration as well while I was playing the game. I had this on console and PC and had this issue during the first public playtest. There was one issue, it's in the recent video. I can't remember if I'm shooting someone or I see someone through brush and I'm shooting, but there's a 6x6 truck and it's destroyed and it's like inside of a trench. And I see a guy in the distance, and I'm trying to shoot, and there's a clear gap between free open space and the actual truck. There's like 5 feet of an invisible hitbox that I can't shoot through, that the destroyed 6x6 is causing. So that's still a huge issue. Happened to me in the first public test, happened in the second one, happened on console as well. So there's a hitbox issue, and a collision issue with objects in the game right now. And then on top of that, the hit registration, I talked about this in the console video, but and I'll try and put it on screen right now, but there was a Viet Cong or NVA soldier inside of a tent, and he was standing in the doorway of the tent. And even so, it's a tent. It's made out of fucking canvas or whatever, so my bullets should go through it regardless, but there's no bullet penetration in this game, which is another issue. There should be caliber-based bullet penetration. Any FPS shooter, by the way, there should be bullet penetration regardless. It should be based on caliber. A lot of games don't do it. Games back in the day had it. Modern games now don't, and it's aggravating it to all hell. I was shooting this guy. He was standing in the middle of the doorway of this canvas tent. The hit registration was not working. On top of hit registration issue, this was on the console issue too. I zoomed in on it for you guys in that video as well. But I had times where I was shooting someone a lot, fully seeing my bullets hit them, even hearing the actual audible impact sound that the game gives you when you're hitting someone. Again, I don't know if it was just lag. I don't know if it's a I think it's a hit registration issue because that just makes more sense. That could have been a part of it, but I was not lagging at the time. That guy took 5 bullets. Holy crap. Sometimes I was getting stuck on terrain. This is an issue with the first game, and just constantly jumping in place while you're trying to vault, or if there's a slight incline and you're trying to vault up it, your character will jump on it instead and then slide back down. This could result in your death in the game, and when I should be vaulting or moving forward, I would just stand still and get stuck. Another issue with the first game that's in this game is there's probably a tech word for this, like static vaulting. Basically, when you vault, you're stuck in this on-rails animation of vaulting. You can't really move while you're vaulting. It isn't smooth. It isn't free, like free movement and stuff, kind of like, let's say, COD or Battlefield, or like any other game that has a vaulting mechanic. You're not stuck on this on-rails animation of vaulting over something. It's really stupid. Again, it's in the first fucking game. Absolutely hate it. So, devs, if you can somehow make the player locomotion when it comes to vaulting kind of like Battlefield, that would be great, because I hate being stuck in this animation, in a static animation where I can't move. And if I'm not smart enough, or if anyone's not smart enough, you can get killed and stuck in that animation. As for what I would call a major bug in the game right now, and this was in the first playtest as well, at least on my side, is my settings would not apply and they just wouldn't work. They would work on console, but on PC, at least for me, and for example, devs made a really stupid fucking decision where they decided to give you the option and make it by default to have the push-to-talk toggle. So when you hit V, C, or X for squad, command, or proximity chat, you would just be hot miking, because by default it was toggle instead of just pushing it. And sometimes I would forget and I'm just hot miking my team, and my other teammates would do that too. Another issue on top of VoIP is the VoIP was just ass. Like, sometimes it wouldn't work. Sometimes people sounded like fucking robots. Some people sounded like they were 20,000 miles away from their goddamn microphone. It was atrocious. It was horrible. So another example would be the HUD toggle for Hell Let Loose is T, and when I went into the settings which by the way, it was by default toggle, so cool, the keybind just wouldn't work. It wouldn't apply. I was spamming T. That's why all the PC videos, the HUD is on permanently, because it just wouldn't toggle off. Again, don't know if that was a major game issue. I had that issue with the settings not changing and applying in the first playtest, and I guess that carried over and they just didn't bother to fix it. Or maybe they fixed it and some people it's still applied to them. Personally, so take this with a grain of salt, I'm a huge stickler when it comes to first-person shooters, tactical shooters, all that type of stuff. When it comes to animations, graphics, muzzle smoke, ejection, gun sounds, audio design, all that type of shit. So I just want to preference that before I continue. This game I despise. I do not like the audio in this game. I think it's horrible. I think it's ass. I think it's the worst audio design compared to the first game. Like, it's so weird. Like, you think they would just... I don't know what the issue is. I don't like the audio design. The guns sound horrible. They all sound like they were recorded in a giant concrete factory hangar building, and they didn't bother recording the audio of the actual gun shooting. I own a Mosin Nagant. I know what a Mosin Nagant sounds like, and in this game it sounds like you're shooting a fucking nail gun. I had one instance, again, I'm not going to count this towards the game, maybe this was just an audio bug, but there was a bombing run that came in, and it's in the second video that I made on the playtest for PC. Bombing run landed probably, I'd say, 50 meters from my position. It was friendly, so it didn't kill me. Should have killed me because it does in the first game, but it was muted. Like the bombs hitting the ground and exploding were muted, and it was really bad. In my opinion, the effects were bad, but I'm chalking that up to having to run the game on low settings. On console, via the spawning menu, you are forced to use the D-pad to spawn. You can't just use the cursor, find the spawn point, the garrison, the outpost, the boat spawn, the Huey spawn. You can't use your cursor to move to that position on the map and click A to spawn on it. You are forced to use the D-pad on console, so that's just fucking stupid in my opinion. I don't like that. I hope they change that for console. As for the loadout system in the game, I'm not entirely sure if I like it yet or if I hate it. So that one, again, take that with a little grain of salt. I'm not sure if I like or hate that one. And it goes without saying, I complain about this in every video, and I'm just doing it to piss people off. Build an action stream. You can despise it. It's the most useless thing in the game. Get rid of it. You don't need it. I'm not usually the type of person to tell devs to get rid of certain things in their games. I don't like doing that, but for this game, it really is just a useless screen. I'm sure there's some stupid reason the devs could give you saying, oh, we use it because it helps load into the menu or whatever stupid back-end bullshit. But yeah, the killed in action screen is stupid because you get shot, you go in this down but not revivable state, you have to hold for 10 to 15 seconds to kill yourself, then you have to wait another 10 seconds, and if you accidentally team kill, you have to wait another additional 15 to 30 seconds on top of that, and then once you're out of that screen, you then have to hit F to confirm if you're on PC, to then go to the spawn menu, and then if you don't get the RNG of an instant spawn, you have to sit there and wait for another 45 seconds to spawn. So all of that is just useless. One thing I do like, and this is very random, but the main menu music, for some reason, I don't know why, but it reminds me of Mercenaries 2 World in Flames. On top of that, it also reminds me of Ghost Recon Wildlands. Again, don't ask. I don't know why. It's just pretty fucking dope, and I hope to see more music like that in the game, especially with the menus and stuff. I don't know why. I just really like it. It just reminds me of playing the first Mercenaries Playground Destruction, and then playing Mercenaries 2 World in Flames, that menu music just reminded me. So that was cool. It brought me back to my childhood. I really loved that. Back to sound design. In terms of that, I would like to see more ambient sounds and music and dynamic weather and stuff to the game, and not just weather based on a map. I want to see dynamic weather to the game. I want to see rain. I want to see thunderstorms. I want to see wind. I would like to see that because right now, other than like the actual combat going on between the players in the game and the command assets coming in, which, by the way, the only good audio design in that game is hearing the F4 Phantoms fly over, the B-57 Canberra flying over. Some of the artillery could be worked on when it comes to audio, but the jets and the recon plane flying over sounds perfectly fine. That sounds great. But in terms of the rest of the audio, it doesn't. Yeah, back to the ambient sounds. There's nothing going on in the maps. Sometimes there's ambient crickets, or the foliage is like swaying from wind, but you don't hear any wind. Yeah, other than the player sounds going on, there's no ambient noise. Also, why the fuck is there not an M14 or the Stoner LMG or the Stoner 63 or the Car 15 or all the other guns that were used in Vietnam, from guns that were made in the 50s, World War II guns? So I don't know why those aren't in the game. I'm just going to chalk that up to this was a playtest, that's why. Did have a reload glitch or bug. I'm not sure what it really was. Maybe I just skipped the animation too fast, like I saw the animation complete and I switched weapons too fast. I'm not sure. I'm just going to classify it as a bug. But basically, I reloaded my RPG and I knew how fast the full animation was. I let it go through its full animation, let the guy settle it on my shoulder. Then I switched weapons to kill a player that was in front of me, and then went to switch back to my RPG to shoot a helicopter, and I had to redo the entire reload animation. So I'm not sure, again, if that was a bug or I just somehow didn't time the full animation correctly and I switched weapons too fast. So the animation for pulling out the RPG is very slow, but when you switch back to your primary weapon, it's like instantaneous. Why there's a difference between animations, like the RPG is just God weapon, so you have to have a slow animation to pull it out, but when you put it away and pull primary out. It's just an instantaneous animation. So, and it's like that with the first game too, when you pull out like a bazooka or a Panzerschreck and then swip back to your like Kar 98 or M1 Grand, the animation's instantaneous. But when you switch to the bazooka, it's just slow, methodical, when I say handcrafted, quotes around that, animation to it. So I'm going to cut this video short before I keep ranting on about the game, and I've done that enough with all my Hell Let Loose videos. So devs, again, I need the preferences because the internet is retarded and they like to think things. I don't hate the devs. The devs, despite my grievances with your first game and this game, I generally actually do like Hell Let Loose, even though I do say I hate the game. I still prefer Postscriptum or Squad 44 over this game. I just think it's a better game. There are a lot of things I hate about your game. I'm just saying that. I don't hate you guys. You guys are great. I know game development is difficult. I know it takes a very long time. I want your game to succeed. I really do. Because again, for the a millionth fucking time, and I have to preference this. I know I have to because there's retards on the internet. I'm partially retarded too, but that's fine. I don't hate your game. I don't hate you guys. I want your game to succeed. This is the only Vietnam game on the market right now. I hope when it comes out August 13th, if you don't delay it again, which I don't think you will, I think you're going to force a release. I want the game to succeed for the 4th time in like 5 seconds. I hope there's enough content for this game, because if you only have 3 maps, because we've only seen 3, maybe 4 maps, I don't think this game is going to go too far. And you also have competition. You have War Dogs that's coming out soon. But if there's not a lot of content, if there's not a lot of maps, if there's not a lot of weapons to the game, if there's only these 2 factions, these limited amount of vehicles and stuff that we've had in the playtest, I don't think this game is going to go far. I think people are going to play it for like a month or 2, and then just player count's going to drop off. Unfortunately, that happens with gaming a lot though. So I'm going to shut up. You guys enjoy the rest of your day without me yapping and bitching and moaning about Hell Let Loose, about a video game. And yeah, without further ado, like, comment, subscribe, ding on the notification bell so you guys know when I upload next. Again, I hope this game succeeds. I want it to succeed. Again, I have to keep saying that because people will skip ahead and they're retarded. And yeah, so enjoy the rest of your day or night, everyone.